ReliaQuest mental performance coaches Dr. Nicole Detling and Derin McMains interview top performers across multiple industries to unpack the strategies and the mindset they use to get the job done. Welcome to No Show Dogs, powered by ReliaQuest. Hey, welcome back to the No Show Dogs podcast, powered by ReliaQuest. My name's Derin McMains. I'm our Director of Mental Performance, and today I'm joined by our founder and CEO, Brian Murphy. Murph, welcome back to No Show Dogs, man.
Dmac, man, good to be with you.
Hey, great to be with you. Hey, let's jump right into it today. We're just coming off our third capital raise.
Yep.
And a lot of people, I'm sure you get this question a lot, and since you get a lot, I figured, hey, let's just talk about it on the podcast. It's, why keep going, man? Like, why keep going? Like, you've been doing this a long time, almost 18 years now. Looking, kind of see all the things we've done. Mountaintop, I don't know if you want to call it mountaintops. I don't know. You talk to us about it. Like, why are you still doing this, man?
It's a good question. I mean, look, there's a lot to unpack in that question, right? I mean, there's a lot of reasons that you keep going. You know, obviously the market gets a vote. You got to believe in the problem that you solve. You got to like solving the problem. You got to like your teammates, the people you work with. Those are all easy things for me. You know, I love the team that we have here at ReliaQuest. I love our customers. I think what we do is fascinating. I love the challenge of cybersecurity. Renee's fantastic. I'm lucky that she's been such a great supporter over these years, and the kids. It's funny now they're coming through and doing internships and starting to see it at a whole different level. And so there's a lot that goes into it. And you got to have the right investors. We've been fortunate enough. You know, I've said before, I bootstrapped the business for 9 years and didn't raise capital until I was 9 years in. And so when we brought on FTV Capital, I had more of a say, and they were the right partner and the right investor, and they still are today. They stayed involved, and KKR came on in 2020. And when we raised capital in 2020, we did it earlier in the year. You know, I knew that there'd be a beginning or there'd be a middle and an end to COVID. So I just wanted to be in a full sprint ready to go. So we did a raise really through the summer, and it was before all the crazy valuations happened at the end of 2020 and into 2021. So you're in a market dynamic now in technology where if you raised in the end of 2020 or really in 2021 at this epic valuation and you haven't consistently grown, it's going to be hard for you to raise capital again. And I'm a little different as an entrepreneur. I don't view raising capital as a measure of success. I view, growth rate. I view retention of your customers. We've always run the business like a business. I think sometimes people get hung up, especially in entrepreneurship. And I talk to young founders or early founders in their career of starting up something, and the whole thing is, I want to raise. And it's just not how I think. And so for me, a lot of factors went into it every time we raised, 2016, 2020, and then now, 2025. And it made sense. Our investor, KKR, Finback and 1011 and FTV all came back in. Nobody wanted to sell a single share. And for us, we added EQT, a great exposure into Europe and Asia, great investor there, and had a conversation with Renee. And ultimately what it came down to was, the reason I want to keep going is we haven't done what we're capable of doing yet. You can measure things. That's why I don't think the capital raises are the measure of success, because to the outside world, sure, it's a $3.4 billion valuation. Not many companies grow to that size or that scale, and not many of them are founder-led. And for me, it wasn't about the outside world metric. It was in the four walls, right? From our teammates, and what do they want to do, and what are we capable of doing? And I've met with, so far this year, over 100 of our customers, and just understanding the problem that they're solving and trying to solve for, and the dynamic there. And that's the exciting part to me, is there's work left to be done. We're not as, we've far surpassed what anybody's ever asked us to do, but I'm a believer that you work until you do what you're capable of doing. And I think in anybody's career, in anybody's, life, if you push yourself to do what you're capable of above and beyond what you're asked to do, good things can happen. And we have a lot of good ahead of us.
How do you know what you're capable of? Like, does that have a ceiling? Have you ever really thought about it? Or
I haven't really thought about it. I mean, if you would have asked me in 2007, if we would have, been raising capital at 3.4 billion, and that would be what we're valued at, I would have laughed at you because you just couldn't fathom it, right? And that's the beauty of better is, no, I don't know what we're capable of, but I know we're capable of doing better than what we are today. And so, some people like to. You and I have spent a lot of time in leadership meetings and around ReliaQuest, and I always look for things that can get better, right? I always look for. I'm not walking around talking about how great we are in every area. I want to find areas to improve like that. If you stop finding areas where you can get better, then it is probably time for you to shut it down, or maybe that's a time for me or someone else to step aside, right? But for me, I can always find areas of improvement, and I don't really know what the ceiling is, but as how good can we be, and why not us, right? And as long as you can keep solving the problem for the customer, as long as we keep that focused forward, and I've talked to you about this before. I really run ReliaQuest with really three questions, right? Is it good for our teammates? Is it good for everybody at ReliaQuest? Is it good for our customer? And is it good for the shareholder? And if I can't say yes to all three, we don't do it. And so it sounds overly simple, but just because it's simple to understand doesn't mean it's easy to do. We've had to say no to a lot of things and walk away to a lot of things over the years. And yeah, I don't know what the future holds, but I know it'll be better. I know the challenge is great, the opportunity is great, and it's worth it for our teammates and our customers.
I think this is such a fascinating thing to talk about because in sports, a lot of guys will have career goals, right? Whatever it might be, and I've spent a lot of time, obviously, in sport, and I can tell you, some guys it's just to make it to the big leagues in baseball or to win a world championship. And sometimes when you see them accomplish that thing, complacency sets in, right? Or instead of still trying to climb, they're just trying to hang on. And we all know it's easier to climb than to hang on, right? And so I see that. And then what's kind of interesting, I think it'll be fun for us, at least us golf fans, to watch unfold is kind of Rory McIlroy going forward, because I know obviously he just won the Masters, which is the career Grand Slam. And he even went on record of saying like that's all he really wanted to do, set out to do. And now that he's done that, he's kind of done everything. And I think I read something along the lines, he said something like now he can just go play free or play with freedom, right, of that. And I think that's an interesting thing to think about because the thing that's driven him for so long is now gone, right? And I'm really curious to see, is he going to do better or is he going to do worse, right? Because that thing that has driven him for so long is now gone. And on the surface, you hear, I'm going to play with freedom. It's like, okay, great. Like, I think we all think he should play better. But at least in the short term, that hasn't been the case, right? And so anyway, I don't know. I'm not his swing coach. I'm not with him. I don't know him at all, right? But I do know I've been with enough athletes that have said, hey, I've done everything I've wanted to do, and now I can just kind of go just play free and see what happens. And generally, in those cases, again, generally speaking, it doesn't end up well. In fact, I love Roger Federer said this a long time. He said, hey, if I don't have a clear goal, I cannot compete properly, which I think is really fascinating. So when I think about you, why not us? How good can we be? And I think there's always a better. Like when that's the goal, there is no ceiling. There's really not, right? And so when we kind of talk through that, does that scare you? Does that excite you? Does that like, oh shoot? Because I would imagine at one point you're going to get tired or just go, maybe it's something, I don't know. I was curious.
I don't, yes. I mean, naturally, if it doesn't make you a little nervous, then I think you're lying to yourself. Like I definitely every time you get to a new, what you thought was a peak and you realize it's not the peak, there's another mountain to climb. There's a little bit of it like, okay, you have to have a little self-doubt sometimes. Like, can I do this? Like if you're not asking yourself those questions, I don't think you're being honest with yourself or your team. And I need that a little bit. Like I need to ask myself that question because then it kind of gets me fired up, right? And it gets me kind of competing with myself again and, it's like a internal dialogue. My son Parker always makes fun of me because I talk to myself, and it's just a lot of times, that's what I'm doing is I'm talking myself up. I'm in an internal argument with myself. And you have to have a tremendous amount of belief at this size and scale in the people around you. and the problem that you solve, and I have that, and then it becomes just a challenge and a day-to-day competition with yourself to push yourself to that next level. And the Rory thing is interesting. I know he said he wants to win a gold medal to represent Ireland, and he wants to win a Ryder Cup in the U.S. And so those are like the last. Well, he said them all three. It was win the Masters. Now there's two other things, but I've found, and I'd be curious to see when he says play free what that means to him, because there is a certain of like, I don't have anything to prove to anybody else but myself, right? Yeah. And my family and my teammates. And so now it's, how good can we be together? As my kids get older, how can I teach them differently and help them think differently, right? And my teammates, like, how can we, make this a world-class organization for their, for their families and them see the benefit broadly, right? And that's kind of how I think about now as my job. And look, this is a huge problem we're trying to solve. Like you don't punt on second down, right? So we want to play it all the way through. We have, as we're recording this, we have 100 interns, high school interns downstairs, and that to me is another reason I keep doing this. I mean, look, I didn't have that in high school. I went to Middleburg High School, right? We didn't have that. Largest club in my high school, Future Farmers of America, right? So I didn't know what an entrepreneur was, and now we have 100 students downstairs that they'll never come work for ReliaQuest. It isn't going to be something where they're going to, this isn't like a calculated business theme. This is, hey, in this 2-week program, what can we trigger? Like, what can our people see? Or what can these, rising juniors and seniors in high school, they're going to have an idea. Is this going to leave an impact? It's going to spark, create a spark. And it's going to make our people better, taking them through this 2-week program. I do believe in that. You take our leaders out, and they've got to lead differently and teach a different curriculum, and that makes us more creative. And so there is a business benefit to it. But I don't know. I love the fact that we can have 100 interns in this week. In July, we'll have 100 more, and then our college interns, there's a couple hundred of those, and I just believe we have an opportunity in our communities and just to do better. And so it's been fun.
No Show Dogs is brought to you by ReliaQuest, a global leader in cybersecurity. ReliaQuest helps enterprise cybersecurity teams contain threats in minutes with its AI-powered security operations platform, Gray Matter. ReliaQuest makes security possible for the most trusted enterprise brands in the world. Learn more at ReliaQuest.com. When did that become a part of something that was really important to you, right? I imagine when you started ReliaQuest, there was not this, and one day we're going to have this high school internship, right?
Yeah.
And so
it was make payroll, survive.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And so, but the reason why I bring that up, because I think about sometimes, when you talk to young entrepreneurs, founders, sometimes they get so far ahead of themselves because they start thinking so far down. They're like, and I can't wait to impact my community. I can't wait to do all these things. And I even think someone probably listening to this now are like, I can't wait to do that, which is nice, but that was never a part of the thing for you, right? I mean, how did you stay focused, or what would you say to those young founders, entrepreneurs that are maybe thinking a little bit too far down the road on community impact and things that you've evolved to over time? Like what would you tell them now in their journey?
I would say, you have a limited amount of time and resources, and you said the word focus. You may be able to, as a startup, help your community, and I'm sure that'd be great. And you can show up and talk to classrooms and help out. But you can really help your community is grow to needing thousands of people to work for you, and then encourage those people to help your community. We have 4,000 to 5,000 volunteer hours a year coming out of ReliaQuest globally in all of our different operating centers. That's impact, right? And so don't take your eye off the ball on the thing that you have to do to survive and to grow your company. And I think that's what, I learned a lot bootstrapping the business for 9 years. And you really learn to appreciate the power of focus and what it takes to, what's the main thing, right? Trevor Moawad used to always say, keep the main thing the main thing. And I can still hear his voice in my head a lot of times, saying that to me. So I would just tell him, there's no guarantee that you're going to build a big business. But if you don't focus on that, there is a guarantee that you won't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like stay focused, keep the main thing.
That's good. So I think about your journey, and you talked earlier about why not us, how good can we be? And you just got to get a little better. So what is it for you now in 2025? Like, what are the things that you're working on to get better so you can do what we're capable of doing?
It's always a new challenge. I mean, I've never run a business this size before. ReliaQuest has never been the size that we are today. So every quarter is a new quarter. It's a new challenge. Tonight I leave at 10 o'clock tonight and fly to Stockholm and go to our new investors conference at EQT. And I'm studying all the people I'll meet with there and what are the different customs as you start to grow around the world. I mean, I'm from Middleburg, Florida, right? I mean, I've got to study when you learn, when you kind of think about how to expand throughout Asia and the rest of Europe. And so that's a fun challenge. It's still, though, communicating with people, like making sure there's a ton of clarity, which allows for consistency and then ultimately allows us to execute. And so that's a different game when, you get bigger and bigger and bigger. I actually find my role anymore is I have to be disciplined enough to keep things really simple, really streamlined, really clean, really easy. And that's been a battle I fought for now 17 years because you want to be creative. You want to come up with all these new things. But really it's how do we hammer down on our principles and lock in on our focus. And but for me, it's an adventure every day. I've never done these things before, and some of them I don't like. Most of the things I don't like. The things that you love about starting a business and growing a business, as you get to our size and scale, they start to go away in rapid order. And so that's why I've been in front of over 100 of our customers in the first 6 months this year, and I'll be in front of another 150 in the second 6 months because that's what I love about their business. I'm about to go kick off that onboarding for the high school interns, and I kick off our other onboarding because that's what I love. And so I keep the things that I love around me enough so that I can go do the things that I need to do to get us to the next level.
That's so good. And it just reminds me of a lot of athletes that have Hall of Fame careers, right? Really long careers. The one thing you ask them, like, what do you love most about their sport? And most of them will say practice. Like, they love just the things that always produce on the backside of it, right? They love like what others might call the grind, or they love what others might, try to skip from time to time. And when I hear you talk about like still getting in front of the customer, still doing onboarding, like those are things that I think some others would maybe look forward to, like, oh, I can't wait till I get to a place where I don't have to do that. But you, like, that's what you love about it. And that's what keeps you obviously in the middle of this. And so as we're wrapping up here, I just want to bring up one more thing you mentioned earlier about the belief you got to have and the belief you have in yourself and how much you believe in the team around you. But what's most important is the team around you must believe in themselves, and then waterfall that down. Then the team around them must believe in themselves, and that's where really things really start to take off. And so how do you transfer the belief that you have in yourself? Now, belief in yourself doesn't mean you don't have doubt. We've talked about that a lot. Like, that's normal, right? Both of those things can coexist. You can believe in yourself and doubt yourself. I think that's really healthy, actually. But I would say, how do you begin to transfer belief in the people around you so then their belief in themselves can grow?
Well, you've helped me with this a lot. The power of storytelling. Be human. I spend a lot of time in our extended owners meetings and really in front of orientation classes and onboarding, talking about failure, like mistakes I've made. I always tell a joke when new teammates come on in the new orientation. I say, look, play wide open. Don't worry about making mistakes, because I've cost this company millions of dollars in bad decisions and mistakes, and I'm undefeated. No one will ever catch up. So just know it's okay to make a mistake. Play wide open. And so I think a lot of times it's storytelling. And then I think about, I have to do this with myself sometimes. You get to a new obstacle, and really when you start talking about belief, I think it's just you get to something that doesn't look familiar. and you want someone to draw enough confidence to go through that closed door, right? And it's tough to do that because you can't describe the thing that's going to come to them. Like if you're developing a new leader, you can't say on the third night, this door is going to appear and it's going to be closed and this is going to be the difficult thing that you're going to have to face. You can't really, sometimes you can anticipate, hey, just from experience, you're probably going to face one of these three things, but most of the time you don't know what's going to come at them. You don't know that a 100-year pandemic is going to show its face, or, you know, the largest recession in the U.S. history is going to show its face. And so I think you have to talk about past obstacles, right? So I like people to think about the last time one of those doors appeared, difficult situation, you know, can't go over it, can't go under it, got to go through it, and have a conversation with them. Like, what was that? So if they're coming out of college or they're 30 years in their career, they're going to give you an example of a hard thing. Well, what did you do? How'd you do? Let's talk, and then remind them they went through that door. Like, they went through it. And then, okay, well, tell me about another hard thing. Well, they went through that too. So what are you going to do when another obstacle comes? You're just going to go through it. And sometimes when you waterfall belief down, I like to say that if you can't foster enough confidence in the moment to believe in yourself, look to your right, look to your left. And it's easier to believe in your teammates sometimes than to put all that weight on you. And so sometimes your teammates can give you enough confidence. Like, hey, I do this all the time. This is a tough decision, but I have really smart people around me, really talented people around me that want to win. We're going to do it, and we're going to figure it out. And I think sometimes you want to waterfall belief down, and you can do it by helping that person realize there's been multiple times in their life where a new difficult situation's appeared, and it worked out. Probably didn't go as planned. It was probably really hard. But the what if moment, like before you open that door, is always more terrifying than to just open the door and let's let it fly. So I think talking about that, I think we have to have those conversations. I need to, I've learned, especially with my kids, I've got to do that more because what they see is headlines and newspaper articles. And no, let's talk about the hard things, right? But I think that's a powerful way to use storytelling, and people need to know you're not perfect. You're human. I made more mistakes than I have made good decisions. And that's okay. And that's just part of being human.
Yeah, it's great, man. Just kind of recap there on that. I mean, we've talked about this before, but around like the gap versus the game. A lot of us, sometimes we focus too much on the gap meaning where we're at and where we want to be or need to be or where we should be. And sometimes there's a lot of doubt that gets thrown in that gap versus the gain of where you are and where you used to be. And that's where belief comes from. And sometimes we get so focused on that gap that we forget, it's like, man, we've come through a lot of stuff, And then if you can't believe in yourself, shoot, believe in the people around you. That's
sounds like you've been talking to my golf coach, man. Are you reading off of his notes, man? No, but I agree. You're right. Yeah. And it is funny how I can think that way in business, but I can't think that way in, that dreaded damn game I took up a couple years ago.
I mean, none of us are perfect, right? I mean, trust me, I can
clearly, if you've seen me play, it's not perfect.
Well, you haven't even seen me play yet, so let's just keep it there. But Murph, hey, thanks for always joining us on No Show Dogs, man. Like the hard-earned wisdom you have from building this thing, bootstrapping this thing, it's incredible. I know we get a ton of great feedback, and so just thanks for always sharing. And as always, man, go out and make it a great day.
Appreciate you, Dmac. Take care.